All right, what's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of the Living the Dream podcast. Today on the show, we have Maribel Ortega, who is a confidence coach, podcaster, speaker, and mentor. Maribel, how you doing?
I'm doing fantastic. Thanks very much for inviting me. I'm really looking forward to our conversation today.
Yeah, me too. Me too. Thanks for coming on. And for you guys who are watching this on YouTube, I'm wearing a coat right now because it is 30 degrees in Texas, and that is about as cold as it ever gets, and I'm freezing. So on that note, we're going to jump right in. We love to start with just hearing a little bit about you and what you like to do for fun.
I am originally from the Dominican Republic. I grew up and was born in Santo Domingo. So that is connected to what the stuff I like to do in the free time, which is listening to music, especially reggaeton and merengue, salsa, and dancing it. So I really enjoy that. Apart from that, I like weight training and reading. As you can see, I studied literature at university, and reading is my passion. Back then, when I had time, when I was only a student, I used to read like a book a week. Now, it's gotten slower, but still, that's one of the things that I like to do in my free time.
I love it. I love it. And tell us about being a confidence coach and what your podcast is about, the stuff you speak on, kind of what you're doing day to day.
Yeah. So that's basically my passion. When I was a teenager, I was very shy. I was introverted. I was filled with self-doubt. I wouldn't speak up. Even as a little girl, I was, kind of like afraid. Oh, can I ask them that I want to play with them? And I wouldn't even dare. And that works well for women when they're in their home, because they get they get rewarded when they're good girls. Like if boys are not good, they're like, okay, they're boys, that's okay. And they are rewarded for taking risks, for having a different opinion. I mean, obviously I'm generalizing, okay? And because in my 20s, when I was at university and when I started working, I realized it was like a real hard shock. This doesn't work. If I'm good to everyone and if I please everyone, I'm not going to get what I need. So that was like a 10-year process where I learned how to speak up, how to give my opinion, how to say no, how to tell people what are my boundaries. And from that, or that's how I discovered that this is what I want to do, and is support other people in becoming more confident, in being more assertive, and in that way having more respectful relationships with other people. In my podcast is called Audaciousness. I co-host this with a good friend and colleague, Helen Strong. We showcase bold and audacious people, and in our interview, we try to find out what motivated them, what were the things that were keeping them from going and reach out and do that goal. And this is the second year that we're going to be continuing doing that kind of conversations, and it's just fun. I've met so many amazing, great people in our podcast. Yeah, so that went so well that we're continuing.
There we go. Well, I love that. In interviewing so many kind of audacious and confident people, tell us a little bit about, for those out there who are listening, maybe they're in their early 20s and they're entering the professional world and they're realizing for the first time that they're lacking in confidence. Tell them about some first steps that they can take to start to build that confidence, start to build that relationship with themselves.
Okay. In order to increase your self-confidence, first you need to understand what self-confidence is. And self-confidence is not blah, blah, some kind of definition. Self-confidence is taking action. That's the first thing. So it's doing things that maybe you're a little bit afraid to do, but with that fear, doing them anyway. And the second thing that you need to know is that self-confidence is not static, luckily. So if we say that there's a measure or a scale from 1 to 10 of where your self-confidence is, and you say, oh, right now it's kind of like a 6, you can, with doing risky, risky meaning things that you fear, with doing that kind of, with taking risks and focusing on taking action, not focusing on the result, focusing on, I did it. I was able to speak up. I asked that girl for a date, regardless of what the result in the end was. You need to focus on that. That's the first thing that I would like to say. So taking risks from your perspective, it really doesn't matter where you feel that you are. The second thing is, you are your comparison. You have got to stop comparing yourself with somebody else, because you are comparing two things that cannot be compared. Maybe if you're, let's say, you're thinking, oh, how many followers do I have on Instagram, for example, just to give you an example. And let's say you have 500. I'm like, oh my God, I only have 500. And that other guy or that other girl has 3,000. Well, you don't know when they started posting. You don't know how consistent they have been. And you're comparing your 10th step with their 115th step. Is that fair to compare? No, it isn't. So if you see things with a growth mindset, then you're only comparison should be yourself. And what you need to do is to think, where was I 6 months ago and where am I now? And then consider, from the point where I am now, where can I be in 3 months? And that comparison with yourself will serve you a lot more than comparing yourself with other people. Those are just a couple of pointers. There's lots more that I could say, but I'm not gonna talk without letting you ask me, Tim.
Yeah, for sure. I think something else I kind of want to ask a bit about before we move on is, when you're comparing yourself with other people, you kind of get that negative self-talk that can kind of enter your mind. You'll compare yourself with other people and you'll be like, but I'm not there yet, and I suck, and this and that. And that negative self-talk can really contribute to that low self-confidence, kind of analysis paralysis, not taking action. So what would you say to that person who it's kind of like a habit for them to enter that negative self-talk? Like, how do they start to break that habit and speak positively and see themselves in a true manner, not in such a degrading manner?
Beautiful. You have said already super important things to see yourself in the true manner. First of all, that inner critic, we all have it. People with lower self-confidence or not at a healthy level of self-confidence, what happens with them is that, and you said the word habit, and it is a habit that you create, and luckily that you can also stop creating other new habits that override that one. The thing that people with a lower self-confidence do is that they believe that inner voice, that inner critical voice is the only voice that there is. So let's imagine that voice just is like really at the maximum volume, and that's all you're listening. Oh, you shouldn't apply for the job. You don't have enough experience. You need to take another course. Oh no, I'm not going to try that out. I'm not going to do that well. And then it's just constantly that monotonous, negative inner discourse that it's just putting you down. That voice is not you. That's just one voice in your head. And usually that voice represents someone from your childhood or your teenage years, or maybe your first work experiences, when your personality, especially in childhood and teenage years, when your personality is being created, and one important person in your life or caretaker was particularly critical. And then if you listen to that again and again and again. It could be your father or your mother or the English teacher or the coach or someone. And it can be that they didn't mean it badly, but it had a negative impact. And what you need to do is to find out, okay, who is that voice? Maybe it's a couple of voices. It depends on your own personal experiences, and then find out, okay, what experience in my past, or who in my past used to criticize me a lot. And the thing is that when we listen something on repeat, in the end, we believe it, even if it's not true. Even if we, because this is something that I see a lot with my clients, that they tell me, I know I'm competent, and I know this. I just don't dare tell other people. And that is that self-doubt and that inner critic. And that's just learned because you have listened to it so many times. And there's this saying, oh, I think it was Henry Ford who say, if you think you can do it or you can't, it's probably true, because it's just your attitude. I don't think I can do it. Now, well, certainly you won't. So coming back to the inner critic is, first of all, realize that's not you. That's just one voice in your head, or one opinion that you have just listened to so many times that it's ingrained in you. The second thing is, there is another voice inside, and it's the voice of rational thinking. And how do you know which one is thinking? The inner critic sees things black and white. I'm going to fail, or it's going to be great. I can do it, or I can't. So like in dichotomies. And life is not like that. Your voice of rational thinking will say, I can't do that yet, but maybe if I practice a little bit, I'll be able to nail that presentation. And it's a lot more solution focused and not victim focused, like, oh, I can't do it. I'll never be able to learn that thing. So first is analyzing who is speaking here. Is it my rational thinking? Is it me really? Or is it this voice? We all have it. And what you need to do, first of all, is understand that it's that inner critic, and it's okay. And one technique that I can share with you, how to deal with the inner critic, once you have realized it's that inner critic, is to depersonalize it. So like create a character for that inner critic. Maybe you say, okay, that inner critic in me is like, it's Bugs Bunny or whatever. Make a caricature out of it, make fun of it. Or in my case, my inner critic is little Maribel when she was 5 years old. And usually the inner critic voice is wanting to protect you from embarrassment, from making mistakes. But the thing is that or your rational thinking brain knows, without making mistakes, people don't learn. And without taking risks, we don't gain anything most of the time, because we're just all the time in our comfort zone. And your adult version that knows the values that you add, that knows the things that you can do well, you just take over. And in my case, what I do is I tell the little girl, I mean, it's not me, I just look at her, like on the side, you know what, it's okay. I've done this. I've spoken in front of 500 people before. I'm not nervous. I'm just excited. I've got this. I know you just want to protect me, but it's okay. I'm taking over. And there are more techniques, but I just want to share, for example, that one that you can use to calm that inner voice that just wants to protect you, but actually you don't need to be protected anymore.
I love that. Thanks for sharing.
Sure.
Well, awesome. Let's jump into your motivation now. What gets you up and keeps you going every day?
Helping people. Coaching people. When I am able to share like these techniques that I know, it's just fills my soul when I see people in my coaching practice. You know, when you're talking to someone and you're asking difficult questions and you see that their eyes, they go to the side when you ask a question and they go like, that's when I know that was a good question, because they are making people think. And the best that I can do is to that's what basically coaching is: help people improve their thinking. I don't tell them what to do. That's the first thing that they need to learn. Coaching is not about me telling you what's the next step that you should do, or what's the best decision for whatever problem that you have. What I do is to help you think more clearly and see situations that you might be seeing only from a negative perspective, help you see them from a better perspective, and reframe situations so that you can take advantage of the positives that there are. There's nothing that is just negative.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that.
Yeah.
I was actually looking at when I was looking at coaching a couple months ago, because it kind of goes along with my podcast, Lifestyle Passion Coaching. I was feeling insecure about it because of that. Like, well, who's really going to listen to me, and who's going to do this, and who's going to do that? And then I was thinking about, how much I love to ask really good questions that help people see things in a new light. And I was like, then I read this book on coaching, and I was like, that's all like coaching really is, helping people think about things and like transcend their upper limits with that clearer thinking. And so, yeah, it gave me a lot of confidence. So that concept right there worked a lot for me.
Excellent. So are you thinking of becoming a coach?
I am. I have a paid client, and I have a couple free clients that I do one-on-one coaching with, and so
that's nice.
And
may I ask, where was the insecurity coming up for you?
I think my age. So I'm 22
Mm-hmm.
and don't have a bunch of life experience, and a lot of people who I was running into that would say they wanted life coaching were like, they want life or career coaching, and they're like 28 plus. And so they're like, why would I have a 22-year-old? Why would I talk to a 22-year-old about this stuff? And so I was feeling insecure about that, and just my lack of on paper professional experience. Because I would say I get some of the like issues, and I'm experienced with some of the issues because I've always been entrepreneurial. So I've always been kind of putting myself out there and failing. But it was like what I had on paper to show people results wise and experience wise was making me insecure.
I see. Well, I believe that, 22 is young, but you are not a consultant on a particular area. In coaching, each person is their own expert. So nobody has my experience and my life experience, and nobody has my life situation, and anyone has yours. So the best that other people can do is to help you think better. And I think that coaches who are young, you bring different assets that someone like me, I'm 45, with a lot more life experience, you bring other important assets, like I'm sure a lot more curiosity and a lot in analyzing different aspects of whatever dilemma the person can have. And another benefit of people who are very young is that you will try, I'm sure that you will come up or help the person come up with new solutions that they haven't thought of. Because the thing of getting older is that you have seen things so many times that, oh, I know the solution for that. I don't need to think about it. But if it's the first time that you're seeing something, that curiosity changes a lot.
Yeah, absolutely. I appreciate that.
You're welcome.
Well, awesome. Let's talk. And first I want to say, I totally would have guessed you were like 30. So you look fantastic.
Oh, thank you.
Yep. Awesome. Well, let's jump into your dreams and goals now. Tell us a little bit about your vision for your life and your coaching company and podcast.
Mhm. One of the blessings, and at the same time, I feel like the curse that I have is that I have so many ideas. And I have ideas that like every day, oh, I could do this and I could do that and I could do that. And it's fantastic because it's very, it's engaging, it's motivating. But at the same time, there are so many that they can block me into following the action steps that I need to take in order to achieve, if I wanted to, in one of these ideas, if I want to convert it into a goal. So it kind of like confuses me. So, and that's one of the things of self-confidence, of seeing yourself with your strengths and your weaknesses and saying, I'm okay. I'm so cool like that. That's totally fine. So that's something that I know. So if you ask me about visions, oh my goodness, Timmy, my visions are, to the stratosphere. They're super great. Now, in terms of my coaching business, what I would really like to create, and I'm starting the foundation now, is an academy specifically for women. And in general, I'm really open that, or people who identify as women, and who feel they are in a cocoon, in the sense of maybe their self-confidence is not where they want to be. They have a lot of potential, but haven't achieved what they want to achieve. And in that academy, I would like to support women who are in corporate, are getting divorced, have children, and are thinking like, how am I going to do all this? It's possible. Or women who would like to take on leadership positions, but they're lacking that assertiveness. So or another thing that women tend to do is they like to give and give and give and give, and sometimes we forget, what about me? When am I going to take some time off just for me? So including wellness. So that would be like my dream, to create an academy, and not on my own, together with a business partner, to offer different areas for improvement, with retreats, with, oh my goodness, what many things. But this is, I'm just building my community now. So that's the area of the coaching. And in terms of the book, we are writing, in terms of the podcast, Audaciousness, we're writing a book that we want to publish in autumn this year, which is going to be, the working title is the Audaciousness book. And in that book, we want to portray and to elicit what are the key things that all these audacious people, the patterns, what are the things that they had to overcome and how they were able to overcome it. And it's really interesting at reading back all those interviews and trying to distill what are the most important learnings from all these audacious people. That's where I'm at.
I love that. That sounds like a great book. I'll have to keep following you so I can buy it.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah. Awesome. So create an academy for women who feel like they're in a cocoon. Publish the Audaciousness book. Are there any other dreams or goals that you want to mention?
Oh, I would like to, but this is a longer one. I would like to live in a warm place. So I live in Central Europe right now, so as you can see, cold, just like in Texas right now. And ideally, I would live half of the year. Maybe when I'm 50, I can achieve that dream. I would live half of the year somewhere warm, maybe Spain. So that's another thing that yes, that I would like to
I have to
achieve.
hear the story from the Dominican Republic to Munich. Like, what took you from the DR to
Well, um, basically, I came to Germany. I went to university in 2000 and in 2002 I came to study. I studied literature, and before that I met the father of my daughter. I have a 20-year-old daughter. And my daughter was born in Chile, so when I met him we moved to Chile, and my daughter was born there. After that we moved to Switzerland. I lived there for a year in Zurich, and later we moved to Germany. And that's when I decided, we're going to stay here for a while. And then I went to university there. So that's like from the Caribbean to South America to Europe. And this is where I've stayed then for the past 20 years. And the thing is, in the Dominican Republic is a poor country. And I had always I had this dream of becoming a writer, these dreams that we have when we're like, children. And I thought, I'm going to be this writer of novels and blah, blah. But the thing is that you cannot study literature in the Dominican Republic, just literature itself, like you can do in the US or, in industrialized countries with big universities. The only thing you can do there, or at least back then in 1994, you could only study literature to become a teacher. And I never wanted to do that. So my chance came when a couple of years later, when I was here in Germany. And that was, that's one of the things. So some people ask me, but you studied literature and for what? Because some people decide to study something at university with a very clear goal of what it is that they're going to do. Oh, you study literature, you want to be a taxi driver, right? That was kind of like what people used to say. But those 5 years, I did a bachelor and a master's in Latin American and American literature. Those were the best 5 years of my life. I was doing what I really wanted to do and cared less. You could call it idealistic, or you could call it you're just following your passion. And I had the luck that I could do it. It was just fantastic. After that, I've done lots of things. I was a corporate trainer in communication. I was a business English trainer until I discovered this coaching, which was like 7 years ago. And I discovered this is what I really need to do. And if you see that your life's journey is not like a perfect path, I'm here to tell you it's okay. For some people, they know from the age of 17, this is what I want to do, and this is what I'm going to do. And for them is this super clarity of what they want to achieve. And I say, beautiful, fantastic. For other people like me, the life, our path is like zigzag and trying different things. And that's what I tell my daughter, what I tell younger people, or even my coachees. It's okay to not know where you want to go. What you need to know is where you are now. And if you don't know where you want to go, that is, and if you don't know yet what your mission and your purpose in life is, that's perfectly okay. Until you know, then your mission is to find out what it is. And one thing that when we want answers soon, one thing that I have I have gotten that with experience, is to have trust in me and kind of like trust in life, in the universe. Things fall into place when they need to, and then you just trust in that things will be okay. And then they are at some time, then this is why everything before happened that way.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that trust in yourself and the universe, God, whoever you kind of,
whatever your system of belief is, then that's what you need to trust.
exactly. And that trust will generate a peace of mind that I often feel like is so much better than the actual end result you're imagining. Like most of the time, the thing we're shooting for has like peace of mind or freedom on the other side anyway. And so sometimes we like lose the like actual, we lose the opportunity to like experience the actual end result because we're like chasing after it so much, if that makes sense. That's what I found for myself, at least, where I'm like, why do I have all these goals and stuff? And I'm like, really, I want like peace of mind. I'm like, well, there's nothing stopping me from having that right now, you know? And that's kind of the process.
That's very profound. You see, age is irrelevant. You can be whatever age, and you can say really interesting, intelligent things like what you just said. I totally agree with that, because it's about the journey. It's not about, I mean, yes, you want to achieve your goal, and that's important, but if you have ever achieved a goal, you know that you get like this high for a little bit, and then you think, okay, what's next? What's now? And then you need another goal. So actually, what's really interesting is that journey and enjoying that journey to achieve your goal. And certainly that peace of mind has more to do with being in connection with your authentic self. So like doing things that are connected with your values, and at some point achieving your goals. But that's not the end of the journey. Then another goal will come, and another goal will come, and that happiness that people are striving for, I don't even know if happiness it's exactly what we really need to be like aiming for. I would say more, because happiness is just like a thing. Okay, you're in love, and during that initial phase, oh, your hormones are all over the place, and then that's particularly like super happy. But that doesn't stay. Then things like, go back into normal, or not everything is new, or whatever it is new, like changing, moving to another country, or a new job, or a new project, or whatever. It that initial excitement goes down again. And I think that it's more, it serves us more to strive for contentment. And that contentment has very little to do with money, and really with achieving big goals. I'm not saying that that's not important, but that contentment is more connected with two important things from my perspective. One is acceptance of your life situation. And acceptance doesn't mean that you don't want to change things for better things. Acceptance is, this is how it is, and how do I work with this? I'm going to give you later an example. And the second thing is practicing gratitude for the things that you have. So I think acceptance and gratitude are two key ingredients to living that contentment in your life every day. And the example that I want to give with acceptance is, I have a 13-year-old son, And my son, Ricardo, was diagnosed with ADHD when he was 5 or 6, something like that. And at the beginning, I was like, oh my goodness, ADHD. That's why he like keeps changing from one game to, so a lot of things started to make sense in the way that he behaved or he played. And I had no idea at that point of neurodiversity, of people behaving in different ways, because we're used to, if you know the bell curve, most of the people are like this, but then you have outliers that go in one direction and the other, and they're okay too. And for me, the key here was accepting this is how it is, and now what do I do? How do I deal with this? Start learning what ADHD is. How can I help him? How can he learn better, and not the way that I learn, but try to like get into his style and understand what works for him. So you see, accepting something doesn't mean that you're just gonna cross your hands, cross your arms and say, oh, well, that's how it is, and I have to accept it. No, it's like, okay, this is the situation. Now I need an action plan to deal with that.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that. I think that's key. Acceptance and gratitude. Well, awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. I guess my next question for you is, if there were one or two people that you could meet, this could be a specific person or a type of person, and they would help you take the next step towards really getting that coaching academy set up or getting your book published, who would they be and how would they help you?
A business strategist would be one person. So I'm not going to name anyone in particular, but a business strategist who helps me get clarity with all this fog of ideas that I have, to kind of like reduce that and focus into something that works. So that it's, from a business perspective, successful. So that's one thing. A business partner that it's kind of like in my own wavelength, that would be, because I don't want to go at it alone. But the thing is that I have probably found both of them already. So maybe my wishes are coming true already. Yeah. That's from the side of the business. And in terms of the book, I would love to have a mentor, and that a mentor to help me and my co-writer and co-host Helen, in that, to help us with their experience, how to best self-publish and promote a book. I don't have that mentor yet, so if you're listening to this conversation, reach out to me.
There we go.
Yeah, those would be the two things.
Awesome. Well, what's the most important one or two things that everyday people can do to really help you accomplish your dreams and goals? So would it be like sending women to you to like help start the practice, introducing you to that mentor? Like, what are some of those things?
Okay. So in general, support women. I don't care your gender, your sexual orientation, whatever you are, you're a human being. Support women, especially if you are in a position that where you can make decisions in companies or in your own business. Then make sure that equity and diversity and inclusion are important, and you practice them. Because the thing is that there are so many biases. March 8th, the International Women's Day is coming up, and the motto for this year is I don't remember exactly, but something like fight the biases, because we have so many biases already that women can't do a particular kind of work. So that is one thing that, regardless, that's not necessarily connected with the academy that I would like to build, but indirectly you are supporting me. And if you know women who are guilty because of their education of not taking risks or doubting themselves, send them my way, or help them see that it doesn't have to be that way, and that you can do things, learn techniques to increase your self-love and to increase self-confidence. When you increase your self-confidence, that's like the basis for everything else in your life to work.
I love it. I love it. There we go. Well, now we're going to jump into our Thriving 3. First question is, what's your favorite book, movie, or podcast? Pick one.
Movie. Frida, definitely. An icon of feminism, femininity, and acceptance. Frida had a mustache, and she loved her mustache. You know, kind of like a and in Mexico and I mean all over the world, a symbol of striving and fighting for your dreams. And that movie that help me, Salma Hayek performed this the part of Frida is just beautiful. I think the movie is already 20 years old. For me, it's like it's totally new and fresh.
Yeah.
But it's a great movie.
I love it. Frida.
Yeah.
Sounds good. Well, what's one way you like to take care of yourself?
Taking weekends off just for myself or with a girlfriend and going somewhere interesting. Since I live in Central Europe, here is really easy to travel to another country. So by car or by train, you're in another country really quickly. And taking that time just for me, that's something that's very important. That's self-care.
Love it. Love it. There we go. And what is one action step that you can take right now to meet that mentor that will help you self-publish and self-promote your book, or, you know, just take that next step towards the academy for women?
You're coaching me, huh? The next well, that's a coaching question. What's the next step? The next step would be on LinkedIn. That's where I hang out most of the time. To reach out to my network and ask, is there anyone in my network who has experienced self-publishing books? I would like to learn from you, and see who responds to that. I rather like that. Thank you. I love that question.
There we go. There we go.
Yeah.
So we're going to post it on LinkedIn later today?
Yeah, sure.
Epic. Epic.
Sure. I'm inspired now by your question.
Awesome. Well, we have one last question for you. Requires a bit of pretext. So you know how there are people on the planet who kind of have that fixed mindset. They're not willing to accept help. They're not willing to accept change. Sometimes they'll live their whole life like that. Sometimes they'll die like that, unfortunately. Other times they'll make that switch at some point in their life to more of a growth mindset, willing to accept help and willing to accept change. In your opinion, what is the catalyst that causes that change for people?
realizing that you don't have all the answers and that that's okay. So when you realize that accepting help is okay and that you don't have to prove yourself all the time, then you switch from trying to prove that you're good to learning and then in fact becoming better.
I
I think
that.
that's the key of switching from fixed mindset to a growth mindset.
I love that a lot. That is a unique answer. I ask this question at the end of every podcast, and a lot of times it's like rock bottom, kind of like self-awareness. But I really like what you said here.
Thank you. Thanks very much.
There we go. Well, awesome. Maribel, is there anything else you want to chat about before we sign off?
I want to ask you, how are you going to survive this cold day in Texas?
So after we get off this podcast, I'm going to wrap a blanket around my legs and wrap a blanket around my upper body while keeping everything I have on. And I'm going to eat hot food. I'm probably going to take a hot shower in the middle of the day to kind of reset my body. And then I'll bundle up real quick again. But yeah, there's also a problem with my window. So air is kind of seeping in through my window right now.
Oh, that's the issue.
Right in front of me. So I might not spend as much time right in front of my window as I usually do. But the other thing is, last time it froze like this in Texas, it so rarely gets cold like this in Texas that it like shut down everything. Like our pipes froze, the energy went out. Like we didn't.
Oh my goodness.
Like people's food was spoiling. Some people didn't have access to water, and it was just like, obviously, we're so lucky to always have access to those things that people were freaking out.
Yeah.
But yeah, so hopefully that does not happen again. I hope my energy stays on. But
super. May I ask you another question?
Yeah, go for
it. What you shared with me about you being a coach and self-doubt, I want to ask you one question related to that, if that's okay.
Absolutely.
How can you see yourself? Let me rephrase that. What benefit, as someone with an entrepreneurial mindset and so full of energy, as I can see that you are, what benefits do you bring to your clients as a coach that make you different and then special?
Yeah. I would say the thing that I think is really different is I really love walking through the storm with people, if that makes sense. And I have a really huge commitment to my clients, which is why I was kind of here's why I started coaching. I started coaching because I was doing it anyway, and I was just like, ooh, I love this. This is the only thing that gives me energy. I want to spend the rest of my life walking through problems with people and helping them think through these problems, and like those aha moments when you ask people a good question, like I like to live for that. It gives me energy. So this is weird. I don't know how I don't know if this is a completely good thing, but I think the root of it is a good thing.
Mm-hmm.
I've always been more committed to not more committed, but more buy-in for other people becoming successful than I've almost had for my own success, if that makes sense. It gives me so much energy to see somebody come through barriers that dealt with before, and like, maybe I'm still dealing with it. So maybe I've had that breakthrough and it's still kind of on my mind, but then seeing somebody else have that breakthrough and then being in it together, I just love that. And so I've wanted to build a coaching practice where I can do that with people, which means I am insanely committed to people, which is, it's weird because not everybody wants that, is something I've learned. Not everybody wants that insane commitment from a coach, but I am, and I'll walk through it with you, like for as long as you want me there. So I would say that almost annoying commitment when I offer.
Beautiful. You just need to find the people who resonate with that.
Yeah, absolutely. And the thing is, like when I'm thinking long term in my head, it's not even something I always receive money for, but something I've been learning. I think it's honestly one of my limiting beliefs that I need to continue to kind of work through, is like, one, receiving money is not a bad thing. That's the first thing. But also, if it frees me up to like do what I'm really passionate about and impact people in a way that is so much more valuable and tangible than money, I need to accept it. Like, it's almost bad form not to accept it if it frees me up to do that thing that is so impactful. So just some more things that kind of run through my head.
Mm-hmm. Well, definitely. When you have a thriving business, you can help more people.
Exactly. And that's what I got to keep in my head with the coaching and all that. So, yeah.
I'm sure you'll get there.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
You're welcome.
Awesome. Well, Maribel, thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thank you. It was fantastic. I enjoyed the conversation. Thanks so much for inviting me. Yes, and I wish you all the best with your podcast.
I appreciate it. And if you guys are listening to this and you loved Maribel, you loved what she had to say, make sure to go follow her podcast, be on the lookout for her book, and share it with all of your friends. Also, make sure to, what was the one thing you asked them to do? Was it serve women, empower women?
Empower women.
There we go.
Yes.
Make sure to spend time empowering and supporting women. As we always ask, send this podcast to 1 to 3 people need to hear this message. Shoot us a 5-star review on iTunes, and we're out.